October is upon us, and for the month of the monsters and the dead, and Ash vs. the Evil Dead returning for a second season, our intrepid archivist recounts the tales of Ashley Williams as he stumbles through battling the damned Deadites in his adventures. This is Ash vs. the Archivist. Massive spoilers away for those who watch. With all that said, hail to the King Baby. Dynamite's Army of Darkness Volume 1, Number 1. The police are called to the now-destroyed S-Mart, where there's been a massacre caused by none other than Ashley Williams. Of course, he wasn't just shooting shoppers. After returning from the whole Army of Darkness plot, Deadites followed him back and started possessing people, so he did what he does best and killed those screwheads. But of course that's not a good legal defense, so the S-Mart slasher, as he's being called, is sent to an insane asylum. And who's in charge of the asylum? None other than Herbert West, the Re-Animator. And he's already in the process of reanimating the dead, though brain functions are still out of his grasp, so he just makes sort of classic zombies. And a beating heart that acts like a puppy. Yeah, okay. And now that he has the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, he and Dr. Whately use it to summon the Deadites again. But Whately has other concerns. And in Ash's lush psycho suite, the pillows, light bulb, and generally everything start taunting him, until a fat guy in an orange jumpsuit, Deuce, and a sassy black chick in a nurse's outfit, Madeline, or Sugar Baby, come in and free him. They give him his stuff back and he suits up, but he's ready to get the hell out of Dodge. But someone opens up the other patient's cells, and Deadite reanimated corpses start spilling out. In this issue, there's a solid overview of who Ash is and his entire history fairly quickly, so you aren't lost if you've been one of the very few people on this planet who actually hasn't seen any of the movies, though it does technically take place after 2 previous miniseries. But I actually understand those who may have no idea who Herbert West is, since his cult status has never really hit mainstream cult status levels. Yeah, that's apparently a level I decided to make up. Anyways, he was originally created by H.P. Lovecraft for his short story, Herbert West, Re-Animator, in 1922, and really became a cult icon when Jeffrey Combs portrayed his character in the Re-Animator film series starting in 1985, as well as other appearances and homages in anime, video games, comics, basically everywhere else. And in this, he's basically playing the antagonist, but in a logical sense since, he's been going mad himself trying to perfect his formula. Also, for a fun little note, Ash's outfit in this isn't actually his original. The shotgun is just an S-Mart special they got, and his outfit is a prop from the film adaptation of Army of Darkness, which in this universe is a film based on Ash's story that he told at his trial. It's just a neat little fact, what can I say? Dynamite's Army of Darkness, Number 2. Deuce is trying to do his best Ash impression, but he's no match for the real thing, as Ash takes his chainsaw back and slaughters the hallway of Deadite zombie freaks. But as an uber-tentacled, gibbering mass attacks, Ash isn't holding his own very well. So Sugar Baby summons up some magic to freeze both Ash and the tentacle corpse. After that escapade, they find a file about Sheila, Ash's lady love, who tried her best to free Ash before vanishing while he was institutionalized. Elsewhere in the asylum, Dr. Whately is monologuing like any good cultist about how Yog-Sothoth will return again and the world will be as it should be. And the chosen one, our lovable Ash, will fall. Elsewhere, Dr. West is animating more corpses, and an eyeball of one of his fallen brood come up and he puts it in his own head to see what happened. Back with Ash and his hanger-ons, Sugar Babe smashes a mirror when Ash thinks he sees Sheila in it, and Deuce gets attacked by mini versions of himself. When they think they've stopped all the mini versions, suddenly a 2D version of Ash rips off Tubbsy's chest and flees, but they can't follow due to the amount of Deadites outside the door. Yet, as they figure a plan, suddenly the trash can comes to life and drags Ash into the forbidden dimension behind the mirror. Dun dun dun! So of course these aren't your average Deadites, since there's far, far more tentacles. But I think that comes from the power of actually wanting to summon the great old ones, and evil. Or just creative license, since tentacled horrors are very much the thing in Lovecraft County. Another thing to note is that Dr. Whately is very much doing this all to summon the great old ones back, or at least Yog-Sothoth, back into existence, while Herbert West seems to be going along to get his formula perfect, and not caring about how that comes about. But will Ash find his way out of the mirror world of monsters? Probably. Dynamite's Army of Darkness, Number 3. Ash is trapped in a bizarre Deadite Alice in Wonderland place thing, fighting off giant caterpillars, an insane rabbit, and other horrors before a woman in a blue dress saves his butt. It's Sheila, but there's no time for celebrating as more Deadites chase after him. In the real world, Tubbsy and Sugar Baby are knocked out by the fake Ash, who's now dressed as the Mad Hatter. Even the fake Ash is knocked out and put onto a table. Herbert West feels that he has the right formula now and injects Deuce with his altered formula, which explodes him. Yeah, he ain't coming back from that. Whately comes in to use Ash's soul to summon Yog-Sothoth, but he's pissed that it's just a fake version made by Deadites, and he smacks West around for failing him and focusing on his work. West strikes back because he will defeat death and be damned with what Whately wants. Yeah, when West smashes a beaker over his face, it tears away to show a mind flayer underneath. Don't know what a mind flayer is? Think a squid-faced, ungodly, creepy thing. And he rips off West's head. And in the forbidden dimension behind the mirror, Ash and Sheila find a place to hide, where we get some exposition about how if a powerful sorcerer read from the Necronomicon, the rift can be controlled to basically control the Deadites, but if a jackass like Ash reads it, the Army of Darkness is just released all willy-nilly. Ash doesn't give a damn and wants out, so he gets a pocket mirror that'll help him get back to the real world, but needs to find Sheila's body for her to cross over. But that's when Evil Ash breaks down through the door. Evil Ash, by the way, is basically a Necronomicon-controlled Ash, spawned from his possessed hand after he cut it off. Watch the movies, it makes sense, sort of. Sheila fights him while Ash escapes into the real world. In the real world, many evil copies of Ash are terrorizing captured nurses, but real Ash comes in and cuts the bad apples from the tree, as it were. He changes back into his classic outfit just as 2D Tattoo Ash starts to attack, another evil Ash floating behind him. However, he's also only 6 inches tall. So all in one issue, we may have just lost Sheila right after finding her again, but we definitely lost Herbert West and Tubbsy Deuce. Granted, with Deadites around, what is dead may never die. I did gloss over the whole explanation of multiversal hopping and everything like that through the mirror, but hey, a lot of exposition is only general stuff that's setting up the rest of the series more so than dealing with immediate stuff. Or even if it is immediate, it's just stuff. I know, it's noise. Whatevs. Dynamite's Army of Darkness number 4. Ash is in a heated battle with 2D Ash, fighting on a janitor's cart where there's soap. 2D Ash shoots at Ash but misses, hitting ink remover that sprays all over him and he melts away. So now Ash has bigger problems, as he's still only 6 inches tall and there's another mirror evil Ash zombie thing tormenting the luscious nurses. How does Ash remedy this? Well, he climbs up his own ass. Well, the evil his is Zass. And explodes out of evil him, regular sized. Yeah, he doesn't stop for a second using a can of liquid nitrogen to shatter a bunch of Deadites to save Sugar Baby. And Dr. West, whose head is now on top of a giant wrangling amalgam of dead corpses all sewn together, seems fairly impressed with Ash before attacking. But his head reattaches to his body while Ash deals with the giant mass. But he finds the start of the suture strand, ties it around his chainsaw, and turns the baby on, pulling out all the stitches. Ash and Sugar Baby start to flee the asylum, yet Whately springs a trap on them as they run through a library, binding Ash with tentacles as he begins to chant, opening the portal to summon his daddy, Yog-Sothoth. But Sugar Baby uses a quick bit of lightning magic to shock Ash, freeing him from the tentacle so he can shoot the Necronomicon out of Whately's hand, stopping the spell. Whately gets pulled into the portal as the asylum starts to collapse, with all the magical energy just actually bringing the place down. Ash and Sugar Babe escape, fleeing before Johnny Law comes a-calling. But emerging from his own little hole to flee, Herbert West must go and find a new spot to continue his research. And that's the end of this story. Is it good? Well, it's groovy in that Ash gets some solid one-liners in, stays predominantly within his character throughout it. While there are some what-the-fuck moments, even when it comes to the logic of a situation, the entire thing is played up for a slapsticky tongue-in-cheek level that the franchise usually hits hard, so it's not that it's bad, and even the artwork, while sometimes disjointed and loosey-goosey, matches the tone well. The only thing I would say is a negative, at least in hindsight reading this, is that it's not really a versus the Re-Animator. While Herbert West is definitely a character in this bit, it's mainly Whately wanting to summon up Yog-Sothoth, so West kind of gets the short end of the stick, and really, it was barely a subplot, and almost feels like he was there solely because this was supposed to be Ash versus Lovecraft, but they couldn't find a good way to do it. Plus, the Wonderland thing was just there and awkwardly pointless. I don't really do rating systems because they're stupid, so if you want some more notable quotables from Ash Williams, this isn't bad. It's not the best we'll cover, but it's a good start. James Corrick has a great grasp of the character, if this isn't exactly the best foot forward, and while Sanford Green's pencils do keep an overall coherent art style, the changing colorist midway, though, didn't do a lot to change that, save for brighter colors being more muted, and even then it's not bad. So, overall, not a bad read. Not the best read. But tomorrow, we skip ahead in the ongoing to Ash vs. Classic Monsters. You and I will both enjoy this.
It's the Evil Dead!